Uh, Hello students, welcome to my channel sarvasmartstarters. So today in this video, I would like to discuss about a topic which is contingent contract. And this topic is relevant for CA Foundation students, paper 2 business law paper, and for CMA students too. Let's get into the video and begin with the topic. So basically, contingent contract. Of course, there are two types of contracts. The first type of contract is absolute contract. So what is absolute contract? It is like where no conditions have been inserted. Like for example, I'll go and purchase a chocolate from a shopkeeper and shopkeeper gives me the chocolate and I'll pay the money. Here no conditions have been inserted between the parties. So this is completely an absolute and clear contract. And we don't have any disputes with such kind of contract, right? Now the next type of contract is a contingent contract. Now, what does this type of contract is? It is not a conditional contract, of course. Okay. Here, conditions are inserted, and if at all those conditions have been fulfilled, then contract obligation arises. Okay. So basically, contingent is different from conditional contract. And I will discuss about this later in further topics. So there are two types of contracts basically, absolute, contingent. Absolute is a clear contract where no conditions have been inserted, whereas contingent is entirely different. Okay. Now let's discuss about the definition. Now you'll get a clear idea about what is contingent contract is. Okay. For example, I will enter into a contract. Okay. For example, um, my name is Deepthi, right? So Deepthi enters into a contract with Priya saying that Deepthi promised to pay Priya 10,000 rupees if at all it rains today. Okay, you understood the contract, right? Deepthi promised to pay 10,000 rupees to Priya if it rains today. So what is this type of contract? It is a contingent contract. Ma'am, why not it is a conditional contract? A conditional contract is something where your inserted conditions should form the performance or a consideration for a contract. Now, let's say, I'll give you one more example. Deepthi enters into a contract with Priya. Okay, so Deepthi want to purchase Priya's bike for 10,000 rupees. Okay, Deepthi want to purchase Priya's bike for 10,000 rupees, but Deepthi inserted a condition saying that she's going to pay that 10,000 rupees after a month. Now, this is conditional contract, but not a contingent contract. Then why this is contingent and why not this is contingent? Because here, when I want to purchase the bike, okay, my obligation is to pay money, right? When I purchase the bike, my obligation is to pay money to Priya. But one condition I have inserted, that is I'm going to pay that 10,000 rupees, but not right now, after a month. That means my obligation should be fulfilled. But just a small condition after 1 month. But of course, it is the consideration which is received by Priya, right? It is part of the consideration. No, it is part of my performance also. I have to perform it by paying the money. And Priya will perform it by giving a back. So this is one of the part of the contract. Whereas Deepthi promised to pay 10,000 rupees to Priya if it rains today. So raining is something which should happen. Then only this contract will arise. Then only Deepthi is ready to pay 10,000 rupees. So here your collateral event, that means secondary event is nothing but rain. Right? Excuse me. No. So you have to understand the clear difference between conditional and contingent contract. Okay. So first example, whatever I have stated here, this is contingent contract. And second example, whatever I have stated here is a conditional contract because here this is my part of performance I have to make. But in first example, that is not my performance. Okay, that is not even my consideration also. Only if it rains, my obligation arises to pay 10,000 rupees to Priya. So it's depending upon a happening or not happening of the event. Right? So that is what the clear difference was. I hope you understood first and second examples. Then only you can get a clear idea about the contingent contract. Now, as you got to know the difference between conditional and contingent contract, let's understand the definition. And most importantly, remember the section also. Why? Because if at all they ask you a direct question, what is contingent contract? What are the rules related to the enforcement of the contingent contract? This can be given for 7 marks, for example. So basically, I have to quote sections also here. Very important. For I told you, right? Sections referring for every topic is not mandatory. Maybe it is not expected that students will remember all the sections, but whereas for important questions, contract definition, agreement definition, these all are quite important. So let's begin with contingent contract definition. So contingent contract is a contract. Of course, we know it is a contract to do or not to do something. Okay. So Deepthi can enter into contract with Priya for what? It may rain today or it may not rain today. Both are contracts only, no? So it may to do or not to do something. It may rain to do, it may not rain to do. If some event collateral to such event does or does not happen. Okay, so I'm going to pay you 10,000 rupees if it rains today. That is one of the type of contract. And I'll pay you 10,000 rupees if it does not rains today. That is also kind of a contingent contract. Means to do or not to do something if any event collateral. So I'm going to pay 10,000 rupees if at all it rains. Collateral event is raining. Okay. It may happen or may not happen. It is not in our control. Only such kind of contracts which are not in our control can be maintained here. If at all it is in my control, then I can play however I want, right? If I'm willing to pay 10,000, then only I'll pay. If not, I won't pay. Right. That is the reason why it should not be in our control. It should be not in the control of the promisor. So that is a definition of contingent contract. So understand the definition. Contingent contract is a contract. For what? To do something or not to do something. When you're gonna do something or not to do something, if any collateral event related to such contract may or may not happen. So it is entirely dependent upon the collateral event. Entirely dependent upon the collateral event. So what are the keywords you have to remember in every definition? Frame the keywords. So based upon the keywords only, the definition will be properly framed or drafted. Okay. So I have to write the same definition. I cannot make any changes here. It's a simple definition already. So it is a contingent contract to do or not to do something. Some event collateral to such contract does or does not happen. So collateral event. Now you may ask me, what do you mean by collateral event? So collateral event can be understood by these 2 points. Collateral event means, okay, see, let's understand more examples of contingent contract. I have given you here. Raj contracts to pay Sham 50,000 if Sham's shop is burnt. Okay, like best example for contingent contracts are insurance contracts, guarantee contracts. So basically, insurance contracts means you're well aware that accident insurance, life insurance, many different types of insurance schemes we have, right? So when a person is taking an insurance policy, okay, from the insurance company, basically what is a contract between these two parties is, if at all any uncertain event happens, then only insurance company will pay that lump sum amount to the family, right? So if I have insured my mobile phone, if I have insured my mobile phone, what happens if anything uncertain situation happens to my mobile phone? I lost my mobile phone, or unfortunately the my mobile phone got like repair or something like that within that period of time, within 1 year. What happens? The insurance company will pay me some lump sum consideration, right? So only if that uncertainty happens, then only insurance company will pay me the money. That means collateral event is something uncertain in nature, may or may not happen. My mobile may get repaired or not. My mobile may get damaged or not. Not sure about that. So this is uncertainty completely. And this is collateral also. Collateral means which is secondary, which may or may not happen. Okay. Between me and insurance company, we already have a contract that I'm going to pay him insurance premiums every month or every quarter, right? So when insurance company has obligation to repay that money only if my mobile gets damaged. So damage of the mobile phone is a collateral, is a secondary, is an incidental contract. Only if it happens, the obligation on the insurance company to pay lump sum money arises. Right. So collateral event means it is not performance directly promised as part of the contract. That means here, if it rains, I'm ready to pay you 10,000 rupees. Right? So raining is not the performance of the contract, no? Right? So my obligation arises to pay you 10,000 rupees. My performance will be fulfilled only when it rains. So when it rains, in the sense, rain is not the performance. It is an uncertain event. So it is not a performance directly promised as part of the contract. And moreover, it is not even the consideration also. Okay, so I will pay you 10,000 rupees if it rains. Raining is not part of the consideration, right? It is just a collateral event, may or may not happen. It is not a consideration. Raining is not a consideration and it is not even a performance. Then that is a collateral event. If it is part of your performance, then it is a conditional contract. If it is part of your consideration, then it will become a conditional contract. Now, basically, you understood, right? The difference between collateral, the difference between contingent and conditional. So it will be not your performance and it will be not your consideration also. See here, Raj promised that he going to pay 50,000 to Sham if Sham's shop is burnt, right? So destruction of the Sham shop is not the performance. See, for 50,000 rupees, do you think Sham is going to damage or distract his shop? No, right? Because it is not the performance. And moreover, not whole consideration means destruction of sham shop is also not consideration for the contract. It is not a consideration, it is not a performance. Then only it can become a collateral event. But this is something secondary, right? That is what the definition given for a collateral event. As you have understood the definition clearly relating to the contingent contract, let's discuss what are the things we require in a conditional contract, means essential features of the contingent contract. First thing is it depends upon happening or not happening of the event. Okay, rain. It may happen, may not happen. Can you control it? No, we can't control it. So it depends entirely about a happening or non happening of the event. It may be before, it may be precedent, or it may be subsequent. Okay. For example, your father has promised you that if you score good marks, if you score good marks in CA Foundation, if you pass CA Foundation, then he is going to present you a bike. So what is this subsequent? Only if you pass, he's going to present you the bike. So this is a subsequent. Precedent means something like, for example, just now we have mentioned, right? If shop is damaged, if shop is damaged or distracted, then then insurance company is ready to pay you money, lump sum consideration. So that is precedent. The event may be precedent event or the event may be subsequent event. But it should depend on what happening or not happening of the event. The first, from definition itself, we have framed these essentials. Okay, nothing new here. Everything from the definition itself. We have extracted these essentials. And second is, it should be collateral. As we have already discussed, it should be collateral. It should be secondary. It should be incidental to the contract. And it should be not a mere will of the promiser. That means, as a promiser, say, I promised that I'm going to pay you 10,000 rupees if it rains today. That means, being a promiser, it should not be my will or it should not be in my control. If I can control the rain, then it is my will and wish to pay you 10,000 rupees. No, if I can control the rain, I can happily escape from not paying you 10,000 rupees. Right? Like, for example, ma. Employer and employee enters into an agreement that only if employer get pleased, he is ready to pay the salary of the employee. Do you think this is a valid condition? Not at all. Why? Because see, pleasing employer is something where it is like the emotions of the employer, right? Now, emotions of the employer can be controlled, no? Now, employer will not say you on face that I have not pleased or I'm pleased, I'm going to pay you salary bulke. It is his own will. If he can control that, then what is the point of the contingent contract here? Right? So it should not be mere will of the promiser. Promiser should not have any of the rights to control it, or if he can control it, then it doesn't become a contingent contract. And even must be uncertain. It should be uncertain in nature, like when we enter into bet or predictions, etc. So these all predictions, etc., will become uncertain in nature. So prediction about rain, uncertain in nature. Prediction about a cricket match, uncertain in nature. So event must be particularly uncertain. So remember these 4 points. It should depend upon happening or non-happening of the event. And collateral, it should not be mere will of the promisor, and it should be uncertain. If all these 4 things are present in your contract, then you can happily call that contract as a contingent contract. Now, question can be framed in such a way saying that they will give you a case study and they will ask you whether this can form a contingent contract or not. So in that case, I have to write the definition along with the essentials of the contingent contract. Okay. So till here, we have understood the essentials of contingent contract. Next, we will discuss about rules relating to the enforcement of contingent contract. That means what are conditions? What are certain rules which we have to follow so that your contingent contract will become valid? So remember these sections. Huh? Section 31 is about definition. Continue it. Section 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. So these 5 sections gives you rules relating to the contingent contract. Let's discuss about the section 32. Section 32 talks about enforcement of contingent contracts on event happening. Okay. So if event not happens, if event becomes impossible, then your contract becomes void. Simple as that. Okay. So I have entered into a contract with you. I have promised you that I'm going to pay you 10,000 rupees. If it rains today, so if it rains, my obligation to pay you 10,000 rupees will become enforceable. Our contract will become enforceable, right? Only if it rains, because it is about event happening. If it not rains, void, my obligation won't arise. And if it is impossible to happen, there is no scope that it is going to rain during this time, then also it becomes void. Okay, so enforcement of contingent contracts of event happening. If event happens, then valid. If it not happens or if it is impossible to happen, it becomes void. So second condition is section 33, same related to section 32, but slight change, event non-happening. So enforcement of contracts contingent on an event non-happening. So here, your event should not happen. Okay, if it not happens, it is valid. That means I promise to pay you 10,000 rupees if it does not rain today. If it not rains today, means if it not rains, then it is valid. If it rains, if it happens, or if it is not impossible, if it rains or if it is not impossible, then it becomes void. Simple, right? Opposite. Both are quite opposite. Section 32 on event happening. Section 33 on event non-happening. Section 34 is about future conduct of a living person. Future conduct of a living person is nothing but now. Let's understand by framing an example. Priya versus Rahul. Okay, there are two parties. Priya versus Rahul. Rahul promised Priya that he is going to marry Priya in court of law. Due to an obligation, Rahul promised Priya that he is going to marry Priya only when her father expires. Okay, when Priya's father expires, Rahul is ready to marry Priya. So that is what it is, agreement between Priya and Rahul. Done. So in between what happened during that period of time, Rahul married another girl called what? Okay. Sahiti. Let's say Sahiti. Okay. So during that period, Rahul married Sahiti, and even like the Priya's father is still alive. During that period, Rahul married Sahiti. Now tell me, what is the status of this contract? What happened? Contingent upon future conduct of a living person. So in future, Rahul, future conduct of a living person means the action made by Rahul. So the action made by Rahul is such a way that as he married Sahiti, it is not possible for him to marry Priya. That means Priya has every right to file a suit on the Rahul for breach of the conditions, for breach of the contract. Why? Because agreement was something like only the Priya's father expires, he will marry Priya. Right? Priya's father is still alive, right? Then how can he marry Sahiti in that duration of time? So, contingent upon means the condition, whatever is mentioned by Rahul, who is a leaving person, the action made by leaving person, which is in future. Of course, it will happen in future only. But in between, meanwhile, he married Sahiti, right? So, as this condition is breached, Priya can file a suit. So that is the reason why contingent upon future conduct of a living person. In future, Rahul promised that is going to marry Priya, but as it is impossible to perform, Priya has every right to file a case on Rahul. So that is what is explained under Section 34. Section 35, contingent on happening of a specific event within fixed time. Contingent on non-happening of a specific event within fixed time. Both are similar, but first one is related to happening of an event, and second one is related to non-happening of an event. Like for example, I promised you that I'll pay you 10,000 rupees if it rains today within 5 p.m. Okay, so what is the promise, ma'am? Within 5 p.m. If it rains today, I'll pay you 10,000 rupees. So it is happening of a specific event, right? And fixed time also. If it rains after 5 p.m., then my obligation won't arise. If it happens within fixed period, fixed time, within 5 p.m. if it rains, then my obligation arises. And second is also same thing, non-happening of a specific event within fixed time. I promised with you saying that if it not rains today within 5 p.m., I'm ready to pay you 10,000 rupees. So if it is not happening within fixed time, if it is not happening within fixed time, then I have to pay you 10,000 rupees, right? So simple difference, happening, non-happening. Fixed time is one and the same. Okay. So section 35 talks about this. And section 36 is entirely about an impossible event. So impossible event in the sense, every time when you enter into an agreement or a contract with the other party related to an impossible event, it is completely void, whatever it is. Okay. Counting stars, making a dead person alive, everything. These all becomes void. Uh, so these are certain rules relating to the enforcement of the contingent contract. Remember the sections too. Quoting sections is quite important. In a case study based question or descriptive question related to contingent contract, please try to quote the sections. And that will give you great impact because if a question is asked for 7 marks, okay, so quoting sections will give you really like 5 to 6 marks. And if you have presented it perfectly with every example. So please don't take it light. And I would like to talk about the previous year questions also, where in previous examinations, they have asked questions related to contingent contract. Like you can see, what is contingent contract? Discuss essentials. Simple question, which is for 7 marks. Define, explain contingent contract with help of an example. Discuss rules enforcing the contingent contract. This is also for 7 marks. So basically, this is quite important topic, ma. Don't leave this topic and try to put the sections also. I hope this video is quite helpful to you. Thank you for watching and happy reading. Bye-bye.